we hear a lot of back pain nowadays, right? So while we attribute a lot to that, sitting for long hours, while that is there, um, is there an emotional thing
Absolutely.
connected to back related issues?
Absolutely. Absolutely. See your back.
Mm,
As you know, you were sharing yesterday that your
mm,
takes it's very sensitive. It takes the hit of everything, no matter what happens, because basically your spine is the support system. Right?
mm,
So whenever you feel a lack of support,
mm,
his back will feel the hit. Now, it can be, usually we say that when you have a lower back pain, it
mm,
comes from this space of financial lack, like where you feel that you're not well financially supported, like something is going wrong. It's interesting that, you might have a lot of lakhs and crores in your bank, but you might still feel that there is a lack, right? Or you might feel that my relationship with money is not really good.
mm,
That deep feeling, that core feeling, it's possible it's coming from your past again. Maybe you have
mm,
you've grown up in a family which has faced a lot of financial issues or
mm,
challenges. So you still carry that fear in you, despite
mm,
having a lot of money. You might carry that fear in you. So we usually say
mm,
that your spine, when your lower back is paining, it has things to do with your finance. It has also things to do with your intimacy. Right?
mm,
When we connect this chakra healing to this, you will find that root chakra, sacral chakra, all of the chakras are also there. So you will
mm,
feel that whenever you feel this lack of roots, like, I'm not grounded, or you feel that there is something gone wrong in the intimacy area of your life or your finances, you will feel that pain coming up. Now, different people will have different problems, but these are some common ones. Then coming to
mm,
the middle back, again,
mm,
it has that support. So usually in the middle back, not many people feel it, but the lower and the upper part is most common. Upper
mm,
part, it's all about responsibility. So when
mm,
you feel that you're shouldering a lot of responsibility and there is something going wrong, people are again not supporting you, this will start paining, or your
mm,
neck will start paining. It's like
mm,
you're always feeling that hit. So
right.
we might say it's because of the position, but no.
Mm,
If your body is feeling uncomfortable, it is trying to tell you something.
mm, mm, mm,
You
mm.
listen to it because it's loyal to you.
Mm, 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 mm. Is there a checklist that's available where people can kind of relate to?
As I,
Yeah.
Louise Hayes, You Can Heal Your Life, there's a beautiful list of things which is there. But to be
Okay.
honest, when you talk about a checklist, so you can find an entire thing there, but it is more generalized, right?
Mm, mm, mm,
But it's a good one. But
mm.
coming back to you, like how, because all of the diseases you will not have, you will have some of them.
Correct.
What you can think is you can really sit down and make a list of whatever has happened to you so far. Okay? Just
Mm,
it's always there that different people have different diseases in their body come up, which is very common to them. Okay, there's a pattern of it coming up. For
right.
example, I'll tell you around the COVID time only. So, under one of my eyes, there's a slight scar, and that scar has actually come from when I was very small. I had a pimple there, and my father had popped it, right? So
Mm,
that small scar is there. And during COVID, what happened? Obviously, there were a lot of things that were going on. I was in IIT, so the PhD drama was there. Everything was there. So what would happen around that time if I would not express my emotions? One of my eyes would just suddenly swell up. There would be no pain, nothing. It would just swell up, right? So basically, that was my body's customized way of telling me that there is something wrong. So your body will also have certain customized reactions, even in physical reaction,
mm,
which
mm,
will be common to you. Let's say if you are getting angry, just note, whenever I get angry, what happens to me? Do I always get fever or do I feel exhausted? Like what happens around that time to me? Because that is your customized way, the body's way of telling you that, something is wrong. So you can do
Mm,
that. That is
mm,
interesting. I mean, that will perhaps help you better.
mm. Understood. Okay, okay, right. So, now that we understand this, any practices you recommend which can, maybe, as I said, not always people would go take that effort to go um, introspect, know this is my problem, this is no, this is what is causing it. But on a higher level, or as a precaution or a prevention, right? So, like how we exercise our body, is there anything, uh, any exercises which you recommend to balance our emotions so that it doesn't manifest into physical issues or bigger problems in future?
All right. See, that's a very tricky question, I would say, especially in the space of emotional health, because as I said, we have all been trained, like programmed since our childhood, not to face our emotions. So always say this, that it's always better that you go to a professional, always, because you don't know what problems you might be harboring inside of you that will later turn into something which would be really hard to come back from. Right. So,
Mm,
having said that again, the small actions that you can take is something that I love to call as active journaling. So, what do I mean by it is, if you have this habit of really writing things down and you are okay with writing it, you should maintain a journal where you write things down, and after a month, make it a ritual. After a month that you have written something in that diary, you go back and you reread everything that you have done, so that you can at least start finding some patterns where you're going wrong. At least start thinking and reflecting, because when you read it, obviously you will think, because that is the thought action which you do. You cannot avoid it. So do
mm.
that. Instead of just writing the journal and throwing it in some corner, go ahead and reread that, because you've
Okay.
written it down once. That's good, you have dumped out all of your emotions. Now give yourself a chance to reflect on it. So that is one thing that I often tell people. The second is,
No, sorry to interrupt. So just so the journaling means say just write down what we feel.
yeah,
It's nothing.
yes,
Uh,
let's say
okay.
somebody made you really angry, right? You want to
Okay.
curse them, you can't do it
Okay.
anywhere else. Just
Okay.
put
Okay.
every emotion down on a piece of paper.
Right. Right. Right.
Just
Right.
write everything down. Every stupid, nonsensical thing that you can think of in that moment. It doesn't have to make sense.
Mm.
Write
Okay.
everything.
Okay. Okay.
But
Great.
I would say along with that, there are two things that you need to make sure: that your privacy is really respected. If say you are living in a house where you have a lot of people, because I have seen sometimes uh, elders complain when they are like adults, complain like how when they were small, their parents ended up finding the diary, and then it was again a very different experience for them. So when you do that, do make sure that your privacy is maintained. Or today you have laptops with you, so you can even
Mm.
write down your emotions there, so in
Mhm.
those files, because let it stay with you. That
Mm.
confidentiality is really important to maintain whenever you are expressing, because
Mm.
people always have this tendency of telling you, judging you, criticizing you, giving you all the logics behind every
Mm.
emotion. So, let's say
Mm.
somebody is crying, you will tell the person, "Oh, don't worry, this is something which always happens. This happened to me also." Maybe that person doesn't want to hear you say all of that. The person
Yeah.
understands consciously everything. Maybe the
Mm.
person just wants you to sit there and just
Mm.
sit there quietly. Okay. Don't be scared, don't be anxious, don't be nothing.
Mm.
There
Mm.
with compassion.
Mm.
The
Mm.
person will scream out, the person will cry, the person will say stupid things, and the person will later also understand. The person will say that, "Oh, I've said all of these things, but I don't really believe them. I was just thinking this." The person has
Mm.
the mindset to understand that. It's just that in that moment, the emotions are coming up. So don't give logic to that.
Great. Great. Good. All right. So, how is one last thing? How is let's connect to my um my topic, right? How
Sure.
is active lifestyle and exercising or uh, being physically active um, impact emotional well-being?
Active life, to be honest, it's almost a reflection of how life really should be, right? So we often connect emotions with water. Like symbolically, water represents your emotions. Let's say in your dreams or in that conscious symbolism, it is always this water. So water, when it's always flowing, it's always active, then it's free to go anywhere. It's in its full space, like it has a space, it's calmly flowing with the rhythm and everything, it's happy. But when you try to put it into some container, when you try to really over flood it, it can be really destructive. Emotions are almost like that. So when you say this, how can active life have a better impact on the emotions? I would say that, when you're active, you are really letting, first of all, biologically letting all the good hormones activate you. Like when you're really active, your dopamine, your serotonin, they are like on a very high level. This is why when we go to gyms and when we do a very heavy, like good exercise, then you have your entire body shaken up, the blood is really rushing through, and you feel life, that
Hmm.
life flowing through you. And
Hmm.
then you automatically have a good emotional space.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
Active life is more about being in a flow. But
Hmm.
what usually happens is that you had some problem, you had some challenge, you somewhere allowed yourself to be really quiet, you somewhere drowned in the pit of that emotions. You start saying to yourself that, what is the point of me doing this? What is the point of me going? What is the point of me investing? What is the point of me going out and having a walk? What is the point of me eating this? What is the point of me meeting my friends? What is the point of me going to work? And in that moment, you end up being depressed. I usually say this to people that if you have started to think of this statement, that what is the point of it? Get up then and there and do that thing. No matter how illogical that task is, just do it. If you want to go
Hmm.
out, if you feel like your voice, inner voice telling you that, what is the point of going out today? Do
Hmm.
it. Do it because of that thought. Because if you don't do it, over a period of time, you will start suspending things and activities just like that. And that is your depression.
Hmm.
The active life, it's very important. And
Right.
emotions, water, active life, they all connect. This is how I see it.
Wonderful. 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 Great. Okay. I think this would be my last question. Um, how do you see generally people, especially they have any emotional issues, they incline themselves or attach themselves to some kind of substances,
Yes.
right? Um, you know, it initially starts as a cope-up mechanism, and then it becomes a habit, and then an addiction, right? Um, what is it? Why do people always do that? Why do we, even I've been through, maybe to be very honest, I've also been through that phase. But why does this happen?
All right. I think again that's a very beautiful question and very relevant these days because we all have heard about binge watching, binge eating. Obviously, there are alcohol issues as well with people where they cannot give up smoking or they cannot give up alcohol or they cannot give up a particular toxic relationship. So, all of these are different forms of addiction that we have. And this addiction comes from somewhere that space of fear. For example, I usually explain it from this angle that a person usually has these four types of inner child, you can say. One inner child is who's always out there to be a warrior because of the experiences that they have had. The other inner child is always in a space of being the victim. I have to play the role of a victim. There is this another one who is always there to play the role of this clown, making everything happy. And in psychology, we always give this classic example of Chandler Bing from Friends series. So, if you so in Friends series, Chandler is one of the characters, and he always makes jokes about everything. No matter what the situation is, he will make a joke of himself, he will make a joke of a serious situation. He is unable to stop making jokes about it. So that personality basically we call as the clown personality. And again, I refer it as the clown inner child. And then you have this inner child which is lost, completely lost. It has no connection. It feels that this child has been abandoned, and all the rejection, abandonment, where the child is almost like that kite that is no longer connected to that thread. The thread has been cut. So, you're just helplessly flying in the sky.
Mm,
And when you have this particular feeling where you don't feel grounded somewhere on the inside, you
mm,
want to latch onto anything that you can find around you so that you allow that anxiety to die down. So
mm,
let's say you're feeling FOMO or you're feeling some or the other thing, you will keep your eyes glued on the television. To in Like nowadays, a lot of people complain about how they cannot even sleep without having some or the other web series or YouTube videos put them to sleep. So it's
mm,
like until they really cannot just keep their eyes any longer open, they will see the videos.
mm,
It's somewhere that feeling of not being able to be okay with your thoughts again. Like I usually explain this with this idea as well, that when we are talking about me time, a lot of people are confusing it with isolation. When we
mm,
say I need my space, I need my time, I need to think, people don't think. They just isolate themselves and they just lock everything up. That
mm,
is harmful. Me time is more about you relaxing. Like that day when I gave you this example a few minutes back, that when I let the scooty go finally, I took the entire day and the next day as well to address, all the emotions that were coming up, like sitting with myself and letting myself remember the good and the bad times, everything, and even
mm,
crying if I needed to. So
mm,
that me time was more about me reflecting and letting myself express the emotions. My body, my thoughts, my psychology, like my psyche, everything express the emotions. That
mm,
is what you're supposed to do in the me time, not lock the doors and isolate yourself in the room and binge watch. Because there you're avoiding it, that okay, let me not feel my emotions, let me binge watch something. So if I just keep watching something, something good will happen, or let me eat something so that I can swallow all my emotions of anxiety and fear. So it's
mm,
all emotions, all the unresourceful emotions that you're feeling, you want to suppress them. It goes back to that discourse of how society has taught us not to address or confront your emotions. This is why it
mm,
becomes very difficult for people to, again, accept that there is something wrong with them, really accept their mistakes and take ownership. That's where we talk about building character. All of it are there just in words for people. Because when it comes to them doing it, they don't want to back out of it, but their entire psyche is set on a default where they will do it because it is there in their subconscious mind. And power is of the subconscious mind.
mm, mm. Okay, okay, okay. And last thing, why is that we always, when we want to get out of certain habits, we always don't want to do it, but we still end up doing it, right? Why is that?
So obviously, you always, when you're trying to get out of a certain habit, I just want to make sure I understood your question correctly. So you shared that if we want to come out of something, we do come out of
I'm just
it.
trying to connect with the first question, the question I asked just before that to this, right? So, someone who gets into some cope-up mechanism, like alcohol, smoking, or some other drugs, right? So they really want to come out of it,
Right.
but they never can, unless they seek unless
Right.
something very bad happens to stop them doing it, or they really can't um, do it or convince themselves to stop doing that. Why is that?
All right. So again, here are two, three things that I guess we have already talked about. First is your pleasure and pain principle.
Mm,
What happens, let's say, coming out of that alcohol abuse, let's take alcohol only. So, alcohol abuse coming out of that, you know, it is going to damage your body. But let's say if you do come out of that, you are left with an immense sense of vacuity and fear, right? So, in case you have not resolved that fear and vacuity, like the vacuum which you feel in the inside, your mind will check the pros and cons of leaving alcohol and not leaving alcohol. So, for the mind, that disease or that liver damage, it's there in the future. You are not
mm,
facing it anymore, like right now.
mm,
So
mm,
the mind thinks, it reflects because you're not in control of your mind. You have given the mind its own control. We say that your mind is your servant, not your master. But right
mm,
now, your mind is your master. You have left it to
mm,
decide whatever it wants to decide. So
mm,
it judges like which one is more painful.
mm,
So which one is more painful? Not that drinking alcohol that will cause problem in the future. The problem is that if I leave alcohol, my thoughts will bombard my mind. I'll feel
mm,
that pain. I'll feel that some disgusting feeling on the inside. I'll feel lonely. So, this is much more painful. So stay in this. This has more of a pleasure. So,
you're right.
despite you understanding what the problem is, despite
Mm, mm,
consciously being aware of that cigarette kills you, or that happens, this happens, or if you eat too much, if your sugar level spikes up, you will have diabetes or you will have some of the other issues in your body, you will still do it.
mm,
Because that pain is more.
mm,
And this is why, again, healing becomes important. Coming
mm,
your emotional damages become important. It's not
mm,
just about you going to some rehab and addressing it. Like I've had so
mm,
many cases. It was there from Gurgaon itself. Like from Gurgaon only, I've received the cases. I'm not being biased or anything, but
mm,
that I've got cases from there. So whenever children had the drug issues or drug addictions, they always had seen a lot of problems in their family. So they all wanted to dull it out. They
mm,
want to really, be conscious of what is happening in the house. Or they
mm,
don't want to be conscious of the tension that is there between me and the father, or my father and my mom, and us all three together. So what they
mm,
do, or the pressure of that is there outside in the world for the competition and everything. So what we do, we just numb ourselves. The easiest way to numb yourself is through that addiction, because that
mm,
creates this dopamine feeling inside of you. So
mm,
that's pleasure.
mm,
So
mm,
your body, it will always run towards pressure. This is why
mm,
we often talk about having this strong bulletproof mindset. Now, see,
mm,
this entire war that we have, this entire evolution or revolution, whatever you want to call it, that we have of really taking care of your emotions and your mindset, it's about taking back the control of it. Because right now, your mind is in control. Basically,
mm,
you, the soul or the essence of you that is there, it is about you being in control of your mind and then driving it as a tool for yourself rather than it really screwing up your life. About this entire thing,
got
strengthen your mindset. It's about taking back control.
it. All right. Good, Meenakshi. I think for me, I learned a lot. I think a lot of eye openers, and you know, I seriously, I mean, thank you so much for sharing so much of knowledge and information. And I'm sure this is going to help me a lot in my journey as well, in terms of when I want to coach people in terms of their physical well-being. I really would connect to what you said, and wherever uh, they need help in that front, I can certainly refer to you, um, or people like you who can help them get over that kind of emotional trauma, or whichever is the root cause of the problems they have, right? So
Exactly.
it's been amazing, amazing,
So
amazing.
I just add just one more slight thing. Usually people have this idea that I have to work on my disease, I have to go to a doctor, get the medicines and everything. And we do that. We do all of that because if, let's say, the disease has really gone exaggerated itself, then we have to go and see the doctor. So you do that, let's say. And when you come back, you have resolved this physical issue. Your body might not get this particular problem, but it's possible that if you don't again address the root cause, because as you were saying, the root cause of things, if you don't address this root cause, your body after a few days will find another way to tell you the same. So, this is why sometimes people have one thing, they heal from it, then they have another disease, then they heal from
Mm,
it, then there is another disease. It's
mm,
just that your body is now shifting the problem. So, you're
mm,
forcefully healing it, and your
mm,
body is shifting it to something else. And then
mm,
people start having this that, my life is gone, it's ruined, I'm unlucky, I'm always sick, my house is always filled with medicines, because you're not healing from the root cause of the problem. Your cancer is not the problem, it's a symptom.
mm,
Procrastination is not a problem, it's a symptom. You have to
mm,
go to the root cause of things. The reason I'm
mm,
using cancer and procrastination together because they are symptoms.
mm. Yeah, procrastination is it. We always
Everything.
think we are lazy, and we kind of beat ourselves um, looking at the symptom, but the reason for procrastination is something more
It's
deeper, right?
something
So
that
we are
we
just
don't want to
maybe
face.
exactly, or we don't want to fail, or we are just being uh, trying to do something we really don't want to do,
Yes, or
right?
you are a perfectionist.
Exactly. Yeah, maybe about so these are the things. Yeah, yeah, well said.
So that is
And short thing, yeah, sorry. Yeah, before we end or close, about your book, Meenakshi, I do have a copy. I started reading it, but yeah, you evolve, unmasked to evolve. I think I started reading the first few pages recently. It was interesting, certainly. I would certainly complete the book soon. Tell me a few words about your book to our listeners.
all right. So first of all, this book is really close to me. It is my
Our
first
first
book.
books.
But I would say this book is something which I have also learned from. And to be honest, when I pick it up today, I'm like, it doesn't feel like I have written the book. It feels like, okay, this is something which can also teach me. Because when I was writing it, maybe I was a different person. Like a few days back, I read somewhere, um, and it's a little depressing to hear that, but actually, it's true. It said that when you write a book, you almost die. In the sense, you detach yourself from life and you become extremely objective about things. So, you're in a very completely different perspective, trying to look at things from a very different third eye person. So you stop living. So that is what the book meant, that you die a little. And you just write everything down objectively. And then once the book is finished, you come back to life. Right. So I also feel like there is something which has gone different. So when I read it today, it's something like which can teach me as well.
I
So
agree.
that is my experience from the book. And if I have to talk about this book, well, I have really tried to put in as many case studies as I could put, because what I understood in that moment was, first thing was that I had to be responsible for what I write, what I'm writing, because I have been blessed with this mentor of mine who has written the foreword of my book as well. He's Dr. Dipti Ranjan Patnaik, and he's a Sahitya Academy Award winner. So I'm really blessed because of that. And he is someone who always taught me right from when I was writing my all the naive drafts, that you have to be responsible for what you say. Because when people will read your book or your writing, they will be affected by it, right? So you have to
Yeah.
be responsible. That was one thing. And the second thing is where I tried to add really a lot of case studies so that people can also relate to it. Also, they can understand that they are not the only ones going through it. There are other people as well who have gone through the problems or the challenges.
Mm.
I would want people to take away from it perhaps is that okay, it's it's like they have understood maybe that they are right now in hell of emotions, or that hell of chaos, or there is something which they have to address. Now look forward. That's why even the name of the book is Unmask to Evolve. It's not about unmasking and accepting and staying in the hell. It's about unmasking that and then moving forward, because evolution is natural. If you're not evolving, you're defying the laws of nature.
Yes.
If you're powerful enough to do that,
Yes. 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 Well
you're
said. Well said.
powerful enough
Well
to
said.
other thing and just go with the flow. This is what I think we mean by go with the flow.
Well said, Meenakshi. And I completely resonate, right? So even when I read my book, uh, a lot of things, even I, though we would have written it, spent a long time, and then now there could be times in life where we also go through goal fall in that swamp or that cycle where you kind of get back to that bad phase or old self, right? So when I read my book, yeah, even they're like, okay, something I said, let me get back, let me go follow it.
That
So yeah, so that's great. Um, I think I've had an amazing conversation with you. I'm very happy and very proud to know someone like you. You know, all the very best in all your endeavors, and you're doing great. I'm following you in your actions, your growth in your work. So you're doing great. Keep growing, keep inspiring, and keep helping people. Thank you so much for being a part of this show.
Well, thank you so much for again letting me a part of this, because it's possible that some or the other person might perhaps see this and feel that, okay, something has changed. So, thank you so much for letting me be a part of this chain of change. And yeah, let's see what else is possible, because again, I feel a lot of gratitude at this moment that we were really able to do this.
Yeah,
And to really get into a space like this, to conduct a podcast, to provide a platform, it takes a lot of effort, lot of guts, and a lot of presence of mind. So you have had really given me some wonderful angles and questions to really go with. So thank you so much for that, Shana. And again, a lot of love and a lot of energy for everything that you're doing,
thank
because
you.
I'm also following you and I love everything that you're putting out there. So just keep doing that and let it evolve 10x or 100x, and let's really add value to people.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Meenakshi, thank you so much. We'll talk soon. All
Absolutely. Have
right.
a wonderful
Bye-bye. Thank you again for being a part of the Neighborhood Celebs.